in the bustling town of Abada, where the red dust stained your white shoes before you even stepped out of your gate, lived a woman named Mama Nika. Now, if you looked up the word mother in the dictionary, you would not find a definition. You would find a picture of Mama Nika. She was the kind of woman who would tie her wrapper tight, strap her baby to her back, and fight a lion with a wooden spoon if that lion looked at her child with a bad eye. Her son, Junior, was her sun, her moon, and her Nepalite. If Junior coughed, Mama Nika would buy the whole pharmacy. If Junior sneezed, she would cover him with 3 blankets and start boiling herbs that smelled like old socks and desperation. People in Abada used to say, "Ah, Nika loves this boy too much. One day, she will try to swallow him back into her womb just to keep him safe." But life, as we know, does not like perfection. Just when Junior turned 10 years old, a boy full of life, running around, kicking footballs, and breaking neighbors. Windows of strange silence fell upon their house. It wasn't malaria. It wasn't even the village people doing overtime. His skin, once dark and shiny, like polished ebony, turned the color of ash. His eyes, which used to sparkle with mischief, sank deep into his skull like stones dropped in a well. Mama Nika went crazy. She visited every hospital from Lagos to London. Autoimmune deficiency, unexplained fatigue syndrome, idiopathic deterioration. All that grammar just meant one thing. Madame, we don't know what is wrong, and we cannot fix it. The house that used to be noisy with Junior's laughter became as quiet as a graveyard shift. The only sound was Mama Nika's weeping. She cried until her tears dried up, and then she cried dry tears. She bargained with God. "Take my legs," she would whisper at night, holding Junior's cold, bony hand. "Take my eyes. Take my life. Just let him breathe." The ceiling fan just spun round and round, mocking her helplessness. Junior was dying, and the clock was ticking louder than a bomb. One evening, when the Hamatan wind was blowing dust into everyone's eyes and making lips crack, Mama Nika went to the night market to buy medicine. She wasn't really looking for medicine. She was looking for a miracle. As she walked through the dark stalls, ignoring the sellers shouting, "Buy Yorokiri kahir," and fresh fish, she saw a man standing under the old Iroko tree. He did not look like a herbalist. He did not look like a doctor. He wore a suit that was blacker than the night itself. His shoes were polished so bright they reflected the moon. He was smoking a cigarette, but the smoke didn't go up. It went down, curling around his ankles like a snake. Mama Nika tried to pass him, but he spoke. His voice was smooth, like oil on water. "A mother's tears are too heavy for the ground to swallow, Nika," she stopped. "I know many things." Mama Nika rushed to him, grabbing his expensive lapel. "Desperation makes you forget fear. Can you save him? Are you a doctor?" "I am a businessman," the man said, gently removing her hand. "I deal in exchanges." "What do you want?" Mama Nika asked, reaching for her purse. "I have small money in the bank." The man laughed. It was a dry, cracking sound. "Money. I have no use for paper." He pointed to the ground, where the moonlight cast Mama Nika's long dark shadow against the red earth. "Your shadow," he said. "Give me your shadow, in exchange for his life." Mama Nika looked at the ground. She looked at the man. She was confused. "My shadow? That is all," the man said. "You won't miss it. It does nothing for you. It doesn't cook, it doesn't clean, it doesn't pay rent. It just mimics you. Hibitome and your son wakes up tomorrow morning hungry for breakfast." It sounded like a trick, but it also sounded like the easiest bargain in history. A shadow. "Take it," Mama Nika said, her voice shaking. "Take it and give me my son." The man produced a pair of silver scissors from his pocket. He bent down. Snip, snip. He cut the air right where her shadow's feet met her heels. Mama Nika felt a sharp chill, like a bucket of ice water poured down her spine. She gasped. The man rolled up the shadow from the ground like a piece of black carpet, tucked it into his pocket, and tipped his hat. "Done," he whispered. "Go home, mother. Your boy is waiting." When Mama Nika got home, she rushed to Junior's room. Her heart was beating like a talking drum. And there he was, sitting up. The boy who couldn't lift a spoon yesterday was sitting up, eating a banana. His skin was glowing. His eyes were bright. "Mama," he said, smiling. "I am hungry. Is there rice?" Mama Nika fell to her knees. Usually, when she hugged Junior, She felt a warmth in her chest, a swelling of love that made her want to cry. It was like hugging a bag of cement. She knew, logically, that she loved him. She knew this was her son, but the feeling, the vibration, the emotional heat was gone. She pulled away and looked at him. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I am fine," Mama Junior said, chewing happily. She went to the kitchen to cook. The sun was rising. She looked down at her feet. There was no shadow. The sunlight hit her, but the floor remained bright around her. She was transparent to the light. "It doesn't matter," she told herself, stirring the pot. "He is alive. That is all that matters." But she was wrong. Not in the shadow. Nobody looks at the ground that closely, but in Nika herself, the woman who used to cry if Junior got a mosquito bite, now watched him fall off his bicycle and break his arm. And she didn't even blink. She just walked over, picked him up and said, "Go and wash the blood." No soothing words. No, "Sorry, my baby." Just cold, hard instructions. Her face, which used to be expressive and full of laughter, became smooth and still like a plastic mask. She stopped greeting neighbors. She stopped going to church. She just existed, moving through the house like a machine. The minister of gossip in the neighborhood, Madame Hooch, whispered to everyone, "Nika has changed. Oh, since her son recovered, she behaves as if she swallowed a freezer." Maybe she joined a cult. But it wasn't a cult. It was the shadow. A shadow is not just a dark shape on the floor. In our culture, the shadow is the connection between the soul and the earth. It is where your empathy, your fear, your guilt, and your deepest love live. By selling her shadow, Mama Nika had sold her ability to feel. She had become a hollow woman. Yet Espase Jr. grew up, and oh, how he grew. The stranger had promised he would be strong, and he was. He was taller than any man in the village. He was handsome, he was powerful, but there was something wrong with Junior, because his mother could not feel. She could not teach him right from wrong. When he stole money from her purse, she didn't scold him, she just stared. When he beat up other children, she didn't punish him. She just paid their medical bills and went back to sleep. Junior realized quickly, "I can do anything. My mother doesn't care." He became wild. He had no brake pads. He took what he wanted. He drove cars fast. He broke hearts. He broke bones. He became the kind of young man that people crossed the road to avoid. But the strangest thing was his presence. When Junior walked into a room, the room became dark. Even at noon, under the hot sun, Junior seemed to carry a cloud with him. People started to whisper, "Why does that boy look so ... A man had insulted him. Junior didn't just punch the man, he beat him until the man stopped moving. The police came. The crowd gathered. She looked at her son, whose hands were covered in blood. Most mothers would scream. Most mothers would faint. Mama Nika just opened her purse, brought out a bundle of cash, and handed it to the police officer. "Is this enough to make the case disappear?" she asked, her voice flat. The policeman was shocked by her coldness, but money has a language everyone speaks. He took it. Junior looked at his mother. "I know," she said, checking her fingernails. "Let's go home. Dinner is ready." That night Junior couldn't sleep. He felt restless. He felt powerful, but also crowded. He stood in front of the mirror in his room. The candle was flickering. He looked at his reflection, and then he looked at the wall behind him. He screamed. She walked slowly to his room, not running. Never running anymore. She opened the door. "Why are you shouting?" she asked. Mama Nika looked. There were two. One shadow was his own, faint, normal, boyish, but attached to it, seemingly stitched to his heels, was a second shadow. It was long. It was dark. It was curved and feminine. It was a shadow of a woman, Mama Nika Stia. She recognized the shape of the head tie. She recognized the curve of the waist. It was her shadow. The stranger hadn't just taken it away. He had given it to the boy, and suddenly, the horror of the situation became clear. Junior wasn't just acting out because of bad parenting. He was acting out because he had absorbed his mother's shadow. But without her mind to control it, the shadow was pure. Raw emotion it was. Her love turned into obsession. Her protection turned into violence. Her fear turned into aggression. He possessed all her darkness, but none of her light. "Get it off me," Junior screamed, clawing at his own legs. "It's whispering to me. It's telling me to do things. It's telling me to burn the house. It says it wants to keep me safe by killing everyone else." The second shadow on the wall seemed to move independently. It grew larger, looming over Junior. wrapping its dark arms around his shadow in a suffocating hug. Mama Nika stood there, but her chest was empty. "Stop shouting," she said calmly. "It is just a shadow. It is eating me." Junior rojered, his eyes rolled back in his head. The double shadow seemed to merge with him, turning his skin a shade darker, making his muscles bulge. He looked at his mother, and for the first time, he didn't look like her son. He looked like a demon. "You sold it," Junior growled, his voice sounding like two people speaking at once. "You sold your soul to save my body." A knock came at the front door. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Mama Nika went to answer it. It was the man in the black suit. He hadn't aged a day. His shoes were still shiny. "Good evening, madame," he said, stepping in without being invited. "I hear the boy is... He is making noise," Nika said. "Can you take the shadow back? It is disturbing my sleep." The merchant laughed. "Take it back? No returns policy." He walked past her towards Junior's room. The screams were getting louder, sounds of furniture breaking. The house was shaking. "The boy is consumed," the merchant said. "He has the strength of a man and the shadow soul of a desperate mother. That is a dangerous combination. He will not stop at the neighbor. He will burn this village down. He will destroy everything, thinking he is protecting himself." "So," Nika asked, "what is the solution?" "Simple," the merchant said. For a second, a tiny spark flickered in Nika's eyes, a memory of love, a ghost of a feeling. "Kill him. He trusts you." The merchant handed her a knife. It was made of black glass. Nika looked at the knife. Then she looked at the bedroom door. The screaming had stopped. Now, there was just a low, guttural growling. She took the knife. Not because she was angry, not because she was sad, but because the noise was annoying, and she wanted a quiet life. She walked into the bedroom. Junior was standing there, panting. The two shadows were swirling around him like a tornado. He looked at her, with tears in his eyes. Human part of him was still there, trapped inside. "Mama," he whimpered, "help me." Mama Nika raised the knife. "Hush now," she said flatly. "Go to sleep." The funeral was grand. Mama Nika paid for the best coffin. She hired the best criers. She wore the best black lace. People whispered, "Oh, tragic." They watched her. At the graveside, they waited for her to wail, to throw herself into the grave as she had threatened to do years ago. But Mama Nika stood as straight as a ruler. Her face was dry. She threw the dust on the coffin dust to dust and dusted her hands off. As she walked away from the graveyard, the sun was high and hot. The merchant was watching from under a tree, smoking a cigarette. He tipped his hat to her. She didn't acknowledge him. She just walked home to her empty, silent house. But as she walked, the villagers noticed something strange. Something that made them run inside and lock their doors. Mama Nika still had no shadow, but behind her, dragging on the ground, was a new shadow. It wasn't attached to her feet. It was following her a few inches behind. It was the shadow of a boy, a tall, jagged, broken boy. And at night, when she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling with her cold, empty eyes, the shadow of the boy would climb up the wall, sit on her chest, and whisper the one thing she could no longer understand, but could never escape. "Mama Dad, why is it so cold?" "So, my people, here is the wisdom for the day. Be careful what you sacrifice for the ones you love. You can give your money, you can give your time, you can give your sweat. Because a child needs a mother with a heart more than he needs a mother with a sacrifice. If you cut off your shadow to keep someone warm, don't be surprised when you both freeze to death in the dark."